At the time of making this video, Elden Ring is sitting at over 750,000 active players just on Steam, possibly even more on consoles. But despite me enjoying the heck out of it, despite it being a masterpiece and one of the highest critic rated games of all time, Elden Ring has a major problem. It's not evident if you only check reliable news outlets, but it definitely makes itself clear when you look at user reviews. Right now, despite its massive reception, the game has overall just mixed reviews, especially on Steam, and that's mostly because of performance issues. So today we're gonna talk about common issues, especially on the PC, possible solutions, an upcoming update of changes, and an apology from Bandai Namco. So let's begin. Now, if you're one of those 750,000 people who are playing the game right now on Steam, there's a high chance that you're quite dissatisfied with the performance. Among some of the issues that have been suggested by players, the biggest of them all is obviously the way the game behaves, especially during open world scenes. Playing the game out in open world just causes way too many stutter issues, a lot of performance problems, and even more so, it simply cannot maintain high FPS count even on the best hardware available at the moment, which is quite a shame, but it's also not uncommon for a From Software game to be completely unoptimized for the PC port at the very least on launch day. Now, despite all of this, the game also had a day one patch, a update 1.02 that was released yesterday. Among its small list of changes listed by Bandai Namco, one of them was also fixed frame rate drops under certain conditions, which obviously was not enough, and the game is still suffering from these performance issues. It's so bad in fact that according to Digital Foundry, it's quite bad on the consoles as well. So if you take a look on PlayStation 5 and even Xbox Series X, the game rarely, if ever, achieves a stable 60 FPS in performance mode, with frequent dips between 45 and 60. In quality mode, it's even worse, and the dips can go as low as 30, but obviously it's nowhere near as bad as the PC port. Personally, I've been playing the game on the PlayStation 5 since, well, before the day one patch. I got the game early thanks to Bandai Namco, and I did not struggle as much, but I did see some performance issues. For the most part, on the PlayStation 5, they revolved around just a lot of pop-ins, especially when transitioning into new areas, and even more so, some occasional stuttering, but that was as I was progressing a lot more in the game and discovering more of the map. Now, if you're playing on the PC, these will probably affect you and then some, so here's a few solutions that have been forwarded by members of the community. Of course, the most important is just turning off unnecessary effects like depth of field, motion blur, volumetric quality, and maybe even turning off that grass quality, as there's grass pretty much everywhere and that could help you quite a little bit. But there's other more advanced possible fixes, so this is going to depend a little bit on what hardware you have, if you have NVIDIA or AMD GPUs and somewhere along the lines. But basically, if you play the game in high performance, be it in NVIDIA's control panel or the equivalent of AMD's, you can probably get some more frame rates or at least a little bit more stability when playing Elden Ring on the PC, assuming of course you also have a good hardware to go alongside with that. A third solution that was proposed, which actually comes from Sekiro, another game that also had some issues on the PC port, is to disable the Microsoft Device Association root enumerator. Yeah, that's a mouthful, but basically just open up Device Manager, go into the Views tab, and then filter by connection, and you should be able to find it right there in the list. Go ahead and disable it. It seems to work for Elden Ring as well, and why wouldn't it? It's like From Software pretty much anyway. Now, obviously, most of these problems manifest themselves when you play out in the open world, which is pretty much 90% of the game, and it's mostly because, well, the game engine just doesn't seem to use the resources properly that you have, and even more so, it just seems to struggle to render things, especially out in the distance. And I get it, it's a massive game, the map is absolutely huge, it's literally one of the biggest maps of any game I played, with maybe a few exceptions, if any, but still, it's quite unacceptable given the fact that there are so many encounters out there that are dependent on you reacting at the right time. And if you stutter and can't react or properly like perform actions when it's needed for you to be successful against certain bosses or enemies, obviously you're not gonna have a good time, and that's quite a big letdown in a game that puts so much emphasis on skill. Luckily enough, there's a small light at the end of this tunnel, and I mean small because we don't really know if these changes will indeed make a big difference in this upcoming patch, because, well, it seems that Bandai Namco has issued a message and an apology to the player base a few hours ago, also going over a few of the upcoming changes, especially on the PC, but there's also a few listed for the consoles. So for the PC, there's gonna be upcoming upcoming fixes for the mouse being too sensitive, another one for easy anti-cheat failing to launch when Steam account name includes a multi-byte character, like for example having kanji in your name, another one for the frame drops and other performance related issues during gameplay, and it seems that they will be constantly working to improve the game so that it can be played comfortably on various PC environments and platforms. At least that's their wording. Meanwhile, for the PC version, their recommendation at the moment is to upgrade your GPU drivers, but if you're watching this video, chances are that you have already done so with possibly little success. Now, on the PlayStation 5 is what gets me worried a little bit, because seeing a fix listed for a problem I didn't even know of kind of worries me, and it's a huge problem because it seems that if you put the PlayStation 5 console, like if you turn it off or just leave it in rest mode, the game might not save the data properly, and you might even like be rollbacked or completely lose progress, which in this game is probably gonna mean quite a lot. So they are aware, it seems, of this issue, and there's gonna be an incoming patch they're working on to correct it, but until it's released you might want to save manually if you want to exit the game regularly, which is a huge PSA. So I did not even know this before filming this video, which is why, yeah, I'm probably gonna put a disclaimer somewhere in maybe the video description or the pinned comment. Alternatively, if you want to like turn off the game on the PlayStation, you can go ahead and do so by opening the system menu using the options button and selecting the quit game function, and then pressing the home button to return to the PlayStation 5 home screen and then quit the game application once, which I'm not even sure. I'm speechless at this point and kind of worried that I'm gonna lose some progress. I definitely will, because I'm always doing that, like just having the game in rest mode or the console in rest mode. Probably gonna lose quite a lot of progress after this, but it is what it is. Now, moving on, also on the same related note, we have the Steam Deck compatibility, which recently has been verified as working 100%, which is quite funny when the game struggles to like handle on high-end hardware. And not just like that, the game's default graphics configuration performs well on Steam Deck. At least that's the clearance the game got. Among the fact that also like the interface, the deck controller icons, and pretty much all functionalities and accessibility options also work with the Steam Deck as well when fully installing the game on that. So it's kind of funny. I kind of want to see how it actually behaves on the Steam Deck, because chances are it's probably gonna either be severely downgraded in terms of maybe like graphics options, obviously, or maybe some other stuff in there, because I doubt it's going to maintain a solid frame rate, even though the Steam Deck has some pretty good hardware behind it. But yeah, this is it for now. Let me know down below if you have any issues with the game, especially of the performance kind, and also would be nice to know what your platform is. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.